In an unexpected move, Texas Governor Greg Abbott ordered the Texas Department of Public Safety and other state agencies to clear out homeless encampments throughout Austin. This week on Inside the Investigation, KXAN City Hall reporter Grace Reeder explains the confusion between city and state leaders and breaks down what could happen to the unhoused people who were displaced. Thanks for joining us this week on Inside the Investigation. I'm Christopher Adams in for Kelly Wiley, and today I'm joined by KXAN's City Hall reporter Grace Reeder. Grace, great to see you today.
You too, Christopher. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we're talking about a big story that you actually broke here earlier this week. Governor Abbott ordered DPS and the Texas State Guard to begin cleaning out homeless encampments across the city. Bring us up to speed. What's the scope of things that have been happening over the past couple of weeks?
Sure. So we heard from the governor's office Tuesday morning. They told us that since the week prior, they had been clearing out homeless encampments in the city of Austin. They're using TxDOT alongside DPS, the state guard that you mentioned, and other state departments to do this work. The governor said that during that time, so between roughly Wednesday and Tuesday when we got this release, the state had removed 48 encampments, 3,000 pounds of debris, and arrested 24 repeat felony offenders, along with they collected some drugs and some other things that they confiscated. You can see those numbers now on your screen here. And again, I want to remind folks that that was between Wednesday last week and Tuesday of this week that those numbers were active. So that kind of gives you an idea of the scope of the work that they're doing. But beyond that, the state didn't give us a lot of information on exactly where they were doing these camp sweeps. We did get video, though, of those encampment sweeps and did get to see that those were in largely like wooded areas or what you might think of like as greenbelt spaces, it looked like. There was some video of DPS troopers under what appeared to be sort of a tunnel on a path. And so we had to sort of pull a lot of the information on where this was happening from those videos and pictures.
As far as we know, are these cleanup still ongoing?
Yes, the governor's office said that they are going to continue to do this. We asked how long exactly they're going to continue to do this and did not get an answer back.
Got it. Okay, so has the governor said why he made this order?
Yeah, I'll read a statement from the governor for you. Basically, the governor is saying that the public safety is the reason for this, saying, quote, Texans should not endure public safety risks from homeless encampments and individuals. Weapons, needles, and other debris should not litter the streets of our community, and the state is taking action. I directed state agencies to address this risk and make Austin safer and cleaner for residents and visitors who live, travel, and conduct business.
So you mentioned there were some arrests, at least 24 arrests so far from these camp cleanups. What sort of charges have we seen come out of all of this?
So we do know that there were actually more than 24 arrests made total, but the 24 arrests that I listed were for repeat felony offenders, though the governor's office did not say specifically, if those folks were arrested for felony charges or if they just had previous felony charges, and it also did not list those charges for us. We do also know, and we're going to talk about this in a moment, that the city is also doing a camp sweeps right now. They're going to be doing that effort for 3 weeks, and they have also arrested people in their effort, and we do know that at least 2 people have been arrested, one for criminal trespass and resisting arrest, and another person for drug-related charges.
Do we know what has happened to the people who were living in these camps? Were they provided shelter or any other sort of resources?
That's one of the big differences right now between what's happening at the state and the city level. So at the state, we have asked repeatedly, that was my first question for the governor's office was, are you offering people shelter if you are asking them to leave these camps, or where are you moving people to? I've asked that question in multiple different ways and in multiple different days and have not gotten an answer to that from the state. So that's something that the city of Austin has kind of pushed back on, and they've said, hey, if you're just asking these people to leave, they're just going to go to a nearby camp, or they may come back after you all have cleaned out a space. So the city actually offered to help the state by offering up its services and some of its shelter beds to the state, but the state, to our knowledge, has not gotten back to the city on that. That's another thing I reached out to the state about and said, are you willing to work with the city of Austin on that? Did not hear back.
So you mentioned there's 2 sort of things going on at the same time. We've got the state-led cleanups of camps and also the city-led cleanups of camps. It sounds like the city was kind of caught on the back foot here. They did not expect this announcement from the governor. What has the response from city leaders been to these state cleanups?
Yeah, so I think the part that surprised the city was it sounds like, at least from the mayor's perspective, that the city knew that the state may come in and clean up areas that were more state controlled. So, for example, TxDOT is in control of underpasses because it's a state highway. And so they thought, oh, well, the state's going to go in and do some of that work in the areas that really they're in control of. What caught them on the back foot is that the city did not expect the state to come in and start clearing out city properties. And there was even an instance, according to the mayor, where the city and the state showed up to the same place to start clearing out an encampment, and that caught the city by surprise. The mayor saying, hey, if you had told us that you were going to come do this work, we wouldn't have sent our crews. We would have sent our crews elsewhere and for a better use of resources. So that part is what has caught the city off guard. They're really saying, that they need state resources. They need more help with homelessness. And so the mayor told me that it was good that the state was providing resources, but they wanted more coordination with the state. They want the state to do this the way that Austin has been doing it, which is to make sure that people actually have somewhere to go, to give them notice so that people's personal belongings and things that are valuable to them are not thrown in the trash. And so the city is saying, hey, thanks, state, we need the resources, but we want to work with you so that, we're not all showing up to the same place, we're not double doing it, and also so that we can provide those resources to people as you go.
We were seeing some of those photos of the cleanups there on the screen. If you're listening to us on the podcast, you can find those in Grace's story at KXAN.com. Grace, we know homelessness is not a new issue. The city has been trying to combat this for years now. What are the main differences between how the city is approaching this and how the state is approaching this in terms of clearing out these camps?
Yeah, so let's dive first into what the city of Austin is doing so we can kind of get an understanding there. The city has sat down with me 3 days this week to walk through what their processes looked like. I got to actually go out to one of the city sweeps. I actually got to go out to 2 of those operations and see what it was that they were doing. So what the city is doing right now is sort of a surge of camp cleanups over the next 3 weeks. And they're doing that in preparation for what could potentially be more severe weather as we get into the winter. And so their 3-week event is going to be many city departments that are going out into spaces. They are letting people know in advance that they're coming. The city has a policy on this. It's 72 hours in advance that they have to notify people before they clear out camps. Then they go in, they provide people resources and shelter. The city told me that they have 60 shelter beds available for this 3-week effort that they're putting on. And then after that, once people have been notified and if people are given resource options, including shelter, and by the way, the city provides transportation to shelter or housing options. They also come in with different resources, for example, giving people health screenings, mental health and substance use treatment help, even job support. So they come in with these resources, then they clear out those camps, and then beyond that, the city then puts resources into making sure that folks aren't coming back to those locations. And if people do come back to those locations, that may be an instance where the city does no longer notifies people in advance of clearing out those spots because they did it initially. So that's what the city's doing right now, a 3-week effort, and those are sort of the policies that they have in place as they do that.
Are there any differences in, week to week here? It sounds like they've got this plan to do this in stages across the city.
Yes. So the first week, they're going to be focusing on more highly populated areas, freeways, frontage roads, high traffic corridors. We saw them in downtown, for example. Week 2, they're going to be working on parks, playgrounds, areas around libraries and recreation centers. And then during that 3rd week, they're going to be really focusing on those green spaces, green belts, and then major parks, places that could pose potential wildfire risk.
What sort of success have they been seeing so far? I know the city has been giving you updates on how many camps they've cleared, how many people they've helped find shelter.
Well, we know that we're going to get a big data dump on Monday that shows the first week of this effort. And by the way, they're doing this 6 days a week, not 5. So we're going to get all of that data compiled on Monday. But we have been getting some sort of glimpses here and there when I talked to the man in charge of Austin's homeless strategy. Yesterday, he told me that they had visited roughly 250 camps. And we also know that they have gotten people into shelter. As of yesterday, it was roughly 10 people. That was in the morning, so that could be higher because of yesterday's efforts. And so we also know one of the things I thought was really notable and interesting was the Austin Police Department said that they actually had one of their officers save someone's life while they were doing this on Monday. They went in with Narcan and did CPR. We actually expect to get the body camera video of that on Monday as well, according to the city. So they're giving us a lot of data. We don't have it all yet, but they are collecting it as they go.
And that data is separate from what the state is doing, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So we know homelessness is not unique to Austin. It's happening in cities across Texas and cities across the country. Has the governor made some sort of order similar to this in other cities, or is this more of a unique thing to Austin?
Yeah, I think because we're the capital city, we obviously have a lot of eyeballs on us. And so this is just Austin right now that the governor has done this. We did not see the governor send the same crews into, say, Dallas or Houston or other cities who are also dealing with this problem. It does appear that the governor has focused on Austin for this.
All right, Grace Reeder, thank you so much for joining us today. You can find all of Grace's reporting on this at KXAN.com, and of course, continuing coverage, especially on Monday with that data dump that Grace mentioned as we get some of those new numbers from the city. Grace, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, Christopher.
All right, well, you can join us next Friday. We have weekly episodes of Inside the Investigation, and of course, you can catch us on the podcast as well, KXAN's Investigative Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Christopher Adams, in for Kelly Wiley this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.